the Chinese are not fucking around and they're eating the lunch of our beloved European online retailers, right?
That's right.
D2C players. Average CPCs dropped by 2.3% week over week. And there are some categories where the drops are close to 5 or 5% or more.
That's getting big. Yeah.
That's getting big.
Let it be you. You should try to get that market share. Because if you wait all day for lower CPCs, you might wait a lifetime. A hidden feature of
what is it?
Google Marketing Live. This was not in the keynote. We talked about some keynote stuff.
Which is crazy.
Last episode. Yeah, it is crazy. It's a huge feature. And it just occurred to me that probably a lot of people don't know this exists. Welcome to another episode of Growing E-commerce. We have a good one for you today. We're going to talk about some news on Chinese e-commerce and how that's shaping up here in Europe and potentially elsewhere. We'll also talk about a feature that you probably didn't hear about at Google Marketing Live, but you should have. And with that, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Ryan.
My name is Chris, and it's a pleasure to be here, sir.
The pleasure is all mine.
So you want to talk about China?
Yes.
Right? Trump likes to call him China.
Yes, that's right.
So let's talk about
about
China.
to tell you not to do, but you did it. Damn it.
That's right.
What's done?
I'm not a big fan of this Chinese e-commerce expansion.
No,
we have been both very clear on that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I gave a webinar last month called the 2026 e-commerce squeeze, and that was one of the
great content piece, by the way.
Thank you. That was one of the big themes that I touched on, and that we've been covering on this podcast for a long time.
So. Let's set the stage. We both believe, and by the way, it's proven by numbers, that the Chinese are not fucking around. I think they have some issues with domestic demand. There are many reasons to it, but they look for global expansion. By the way, not just in the field of e-com, you can literally see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And it feels like that these giants are going hard on Europe and they're eating the lunch of our beloved European online retailers, right?
That's right.
D2C players. But there's a silver lining.
Yeah. Or light at the end of the tunnel.
Light at the end of the tunnel, which is, and we can talk about that right now. It feels like the EU has woken up, and it seems like there might be a political wall these Chinese giants are hitting.
Yeah.
Which I'm all up for it because it's an unfair game. I'm not aware of any big European online player who is a dominant player on the Chinese market.
Yeah.
Can do some research here. I don't know. At least I don't know one of them. And yeah, there are some actions now from the EU, which I don't think they hurt them right away. But I think it's a sign to come.
Yes.
And the most interesting thing, what I would love also to talk about today is we already see some impact, at least according to the data, on the auction landscape, which is a good sign for all the retailers of Europe.
Yes. Yes.
What is your take, before we jump into the details, what is your take on this Chinese e-com expansion and the EU's take on it? And where do you see this thing going?
Well, yeah, as I talked about in that webinar, and as we've said before, like CPCs are getting really high. Impressions seem to be down. It's very tight in advertising, in e-commerce advertising in Europe. And one of the big contributing factors here are Chinese e-commerce players. And, we've talked on this podcast before, and you'll read in a lot of headlines about Temu, Shein, AliExpress, but
JoyBuy.
Yeah, JoyBuy. And I want to circle back to them, especially in a minute. But I did a little extra research for that webinar where I pulled a very large amount of auction data from Google Shopping. And hold on, if I can nerd out for 1 sec, because a lot of people know me because of podcasts or things like that. But my primary job is to be an analyst, basically. And I am now in this closed beta feature, or it's public, but it's this invite only beta feature in Google Sheets, which lets me have 20 million cells of data.
It's heaven for you, man.
It's heaven, yeah, because you could already connect it to BigQuery and stuff like that, but it's so cool because with Excel, you can only have just over like 1 million rows of data. And with this, I can have up to 20 million rows of data. So it's great. But anyway, I had a lot of fun with this, and what I discovered, I pulled out all these thousands upon thousands of advertisers in Google Shopping here in Europe, and then I also had AI support me with categorizing these, and there are so many more
than
of
just the big ones.
Yeah, and when you look at it as a whole, it's very challenging because as a whole, they're just flooding this channel, this category of advertisers, whether they're Chinese or China Orbit or effectively Chinese drop sellers, Chinese marketplaces. It goes on and on and on.
And I think this is a very important piece of context here. When we talk about the Chinese e-com expansion, we always talk about the big dogs. But man, even the small dogs out of China are very aggressive in what they do.
Yeah.
And most of them, for whatever reason, I think it has to be connected to governmental subsidies. It seems like they don't care about profitability, about a sustainable, profitable business model, with the exception of JoyBuy, maybe, but we can talk about that in different note. This is the thing, right? It's not just the big ones. They flood the EU market.
Yeah. So, some of these, for example, are Amazon sellers that have grown so fat on Amazon that they're branching out. Yeah. And to your earlier question, which I kind of left hanging, like about the political side of this, Europe has the DSA, which is designed to tackle marketplaces of all kinds, digital marketplaces of all kinds. And then they have a special category, the very large online platforms, which has teeth. And they, Temu is one of these, Shein is one of these. And that's where we're headed with this topic. They've started to use those teeth a little bit more. So,
which is good.
Yeah.
Let's be precise here, because I did some research here. Just a couple of things. And again, guys, don't be fooled here. The numbers we're talking about here, they are drop in the ocean for these big players. But I think it's more about the sign to come.
Yes.
For instance, Shein was hit with a 1 million fine in Italy. Very interesting, for misleading environmental claims. By the way, rightfully so.
Not surprising.
Not surprising at all. 40 million, the French guys, they are always more serious. 40 million fine in France for deceptive promotions. No surprise here either.
Temu had deceptive promotions.
No, they never.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
They would never do this. And by the way, Temu, probably our favorite one. I mean, you're still the Mr. T for me, right? You don't want that. You don't like that.
Let's go.
You don't like it.
I just don't want it on my tombstone. That's what I've always said.
I will make sure. By the way, I don't know if I'll outlive you. But let's see, if I would make sure that there's some reference to your Mr. T status, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
No, but also, Temu is facing intense EU DSA proceedings over non-compliance, staring down potential fines of up to 6% of global turnover.
Yeah, and not just European turnover.
That's
global.
The thing, man. This is serious. Yeah. So again, we can, and the list is a bit longer, but signs to come.
Yeah. There's even, by the way, Temu just... at time of recording, this is quite new. They just got hit with a 200 million one for dangerous products.
Yes, fair enough.
Their influencer practices are under question. There's so many dimensions to it.
Yes. And again, signs to come. And for me, the one thing which I think even these small fines, because 40 million, whatever. But man, the EU has the power, especially if they put something into the room of opportunity, so to speak, that they will take a certain share of the global revenue. Yes. And then it gets immediately interesting. We have seen this with Google, right? A couple of years ago with the CSS. I mean, Google reacted fast. And,
even more recently when Google became subject to DSA, there were all kinds of measures they had to take, particularly with privacy and tracking.
So that's, I think, a good thing. Because every little or big accusation here is right. The Chinese are not playing a fair game.
Yes.
At least that's my opinion. And now the most interesting thing is, Mike, and we can talk about that, and you have had your fair share of analysis for these numbers as well. But average CPCs That's data from Google, May 2026. Average CPCs dropped by 2.3% week over week across multiple major retail categories.
Yes.
Now, 2.3%, not a lot, but I think it's an indicator.
Yeah.
It's a strong indicator. And there are some categories where the drops are close to 5 or 5% or more.
That's getting big. Yeah.
That's getting big. Now, the question I have now is, of course, I mean, we have to see how sustainable this is.
Mhm.
We talked about the CPC as being this one major hangover for literally every retailer, with the exception of the Chinese ones, because they don't care.
Seems so.
It would be great, right, to see this trend maybe even accelerating. But the big question now is, if you were now in a direct conversation with one of our clients, what are you doing with this data now? What is it, and what playbook could you come up with?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think you need to look in every case. It's a case by case thing.
Yes.
Because you can look at your auction insights and find out how present and how dominant have these companies been in my auctions that I'm in. So you can look at your overlap rate, how often they're going head to you. You can look at the outranking share, who's winning when you go head to head with them, and then look for changes to that. And the other, by the way, before we move into that, the other big horizon here is July 1st, which is when the de minimis exemption will end in Europe. And so these guys will have to pay, it's like for shipments under 150 euros value, no customs, but now they'll have to pay 3 euros.
3 years.
Exactly. Which at scale is a lot of money.
A lot of money for already probably non-existing margins for them.
And imagine if someone orders a package that only has an 85-cent value and you have to add 3 euros customs on there. Because there are some of these cheap things that they sell.
This is the thing, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. This is another thing which we have to...
Exactly. This I think is going to be a much bigger turning point even in these auction dynamics. So I'd wait to see, especially what happens in July. Are these advertisers pulling back, and how much? And then the question is, what do you want to do about it? And there's a couple of possibilities. You can enjoy the greater efficiency that I hope we see. But when we saw major exits from advertisers in the past, we did not see those kind of signs. What we saw is that there were other wallets and bidders out there waiting to soak up that demand. And so that would be my playbook, is let it be you. You should try to get that market share. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because if you wait all day for lower CPCs, you might wait a lifetime. We don't know what will happen.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, the Google reps would love you for that statement.
Okay. Good. Am I invited back to GML next year?
You're certainly. Google, listen to this gentleman.
Carla, Jenny.
Invest the money, be more aggressive. But look, jokes aside, I'm fully with you here. Because the name of the game for most of the retailers is, I hardly know any retailer who is just looking at efficiency right now. It's the squeeze game they're in. They have to be more efficient, but they need the growth anyway.
Yes.
This might be a chance now.
Yes.
By the way, I think it's no generic statement, like you said. Look, it's a case by case thing. But if you see this market, the auctions opening up for you, be more aggressive now.
Yeah.
Because the window of opportunity will be closed. There are others waiting for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the statement.
Yeah. And speaking of that, one of my concerns here, we talked about JoyBuy, because JoyBuy is not a very large online platform yet. They are not regulated in this way. And
deep pockets.
Yeah, deep pockets. And they're following this Amazon model. They're following this model of having local inventory and delivering it fast at a low price.
Yes.
And so they're also likely not affected by the de minimis to the same extent. So this will be
big chance for that.
A chance for JoyBuy, a big chance for them.
Which, by the way, would make the window of opportunity smaller.
Well,
but let's see.
I just mean we don't know what's going to happen yet, but there are opportunities, there are risks, and
have a look at it. I think this is our message. Have a look at it. It might be even bigger than these 2 to 5%, and 2 to 5% they matter to you, right? In this margin game, and I would certainly go for this opportunity to see what you can do with this vacant market, because there is one. talking about, Mike, about the playbook. I mean, we have been critical about the demand-led
demand-led growth, yeah.
Demand-led growth, which is basically an open budget idea of Google.
Yeah.
But man, could be a thing here, right?
It could be. It's a way to potentially stimulate your campaigns to spend more.
Yes, and I think again we have been critical about it, but I think AI max for search could also be a technology here, which might untap these search queries. You just haven't been on them for whatever reason. I think the two technologies you could look at right now as an online reader and just see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. Another one that I've been very critical of in the past, but I'm changing my mind on it is...
Yeah, you were at the GML, of course.
Yeah. Well, no, and I just have to be careful because I don't know where Google is on this, but it's smart bidding exploration. But what I will say is that because smart bidding exploration, if you're not familiar with it, it basically... anytime, you set a ROAS target, okay? And the algorithm is going to do a combination of exploration and exploitation. Exploitation are these clicks and queries with high certainty where it knows it's going to convert. Exploration, it's the gambles. It's arguably more incremental. But the certainty is lower and the performance could be worse because there'll be swings and misses.
Yeah.
Smart bidding exploration lets you encourage the algorithm to go further on that side, the exploration side, than the exploitation side. And Google is reshaping this feature in a way that I think makes it way more attractive and could make a lot of sense in these contexts.
Yes.
So have an eye on that. I've been dismissive of it in the past, but it's improving, and I don't want to go in too much more detail about it right now because I can never remember what's
fair
public or not
point.
public. But yeah.
Last 2 points I would like to talk about with regards to the China topic is...
you do that 3-5 more times and I'm kicking you off this podcast.
I'm on it now. No, the China thing is maybe good news. Although I think we talked about that study, which is somehow contradictory, but there's also the consumer mandate, I would like to call it, which is two numbers, which I think it's good news. 74% of consumers state that they're willing to pay a premium for fully traceable, sustainability verified fashion.
Yeah, that sounds great if it's true.
It sounds great. Another thing is 49% of shoppers explicitly have a high intent to buy if a product's origin and materials can be independently verified via digital product passport. The market wants authenticity. That's according to the study I have in front of me. I tell you one thing. I know a lot of shoppers who would probably say that.
Yes.
But in the moment where they have to make a decision, they don't give a flying fuck.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too bullish about that.
No. I think people follow price points, and with AI search features, this could get even more the case.
Yes. I'm just saying, I think that the Chinese e-com expansion and also my network, people understand now, okay, there's the Shein, Temu, they're from China. I think it will take time. I think we're not there yet, that people are literally making decisions based on the origin of the product or the platform they buy from.
Yes.
But I think we're getting there.
I think so too. I think we have to see again how much people's wallets and values, especially if the economy gets tighter, how that plays out. And there is contradicting research that people have been growing more comfortable with Temu.
Yes.
That basically they're satisfied with the customer experience and they are more likely to recommend it to someone after they've shopped there once.
And the products seem to be okay for the price.
Yeah. No comment.
No comment.
I'm not a Temu shopper, but
me neither.
But the thing is, I do shop on Amazon, and there's probably so much overlap that I would cry if I knew. So,
okay. Yeah. One last thing. We were talking about the playbook to maybe benefit from this vacant or more open auction landscape. Now we talked about AI Max for search to really drive incrementality, the new exploration bidding functionality, demand-led growth, just to summarize. And please, let's make sure we are not forgetting about being more aggressive with the ROAS setting. the ROAS is not just the goal you want to achieve, it's the signal. It's a major prompt to Google. So please think about that. All in all, I think you have options now. And if there are any more questions, talk to us. We can help you here for sure.
Yes, if you need help with your auction insights,
we know our auction insights.
Yes. You can put
we have an extra.
You can put the auction insights guy on my tombstone, and I'm okay with that. Yeah.
But good news, I would say.
Yes, it's a very positive signal.
Yes. Shout out to the U.
Yes, exactly. They're using those teeth. No. Yeah, hey, you know, we're a little off topic, but I want to give one more shout out that I love from the EU, which is they're working on this thing about interchangeable batteries on smartphones.
Yes.
Man, I'm sure it's going to make the smartphones ugly and totally break the design, but
it makes the world a better place.
Yes, it does. So anyway,
next topic.
A
a
hidden feature of
what is it?
Google Marketing Live. Yeah. Well, this was not in the keynote. We talked about some keynote stuff,
which is crazy.
Last episode. Yeah, it is crazy. It's a huge feature. And it just occurred to me that probably a lot of people don't know this exists. Yeah. I was at a breakout session afterwards where they presented this among other things. And I think it's so cool. It's called AI Performance Insights. And that alone should get you excited. Just the title.
Yes, it should.
Yes. Because
it will, because the feature is great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Google has done really good work the past couple of years on increasing transparency.
Yes.
It's something that they didn't get before, and maybe they still disagree with, but they're doing it. They're giving more transparency into PMax, and AI Max was built transparently from the start. So a lot of respect to them for listening. Thank you, Google. But the problem is AI mode, AI overviews. There's no breakout for this kind of stuff. And we know that it's growing in volume every quarter. And so it's this new black box growing inside of everything. And, you know, the extent to which, because ads are not rolled out there everywhere, but if it's not here yet, it will be. It's coming. This affects your organic visibility as well. It will affect your free listings, which you get through Merchant Center. So that's what they've built here. All right. I'll complain after a little bit.
Let's sell it first.
Yeah, let's sell it first, Chris. What they did here that's really cool is this is basically in some ways first of its kind, a view at visibility of your products inside of AI surfaces.
How do they call it? Share of?
They have a metric that they've introduced called share of voice.
Share of voice, again.
You know, share of voice has been a topic of basically third-party software vendors for years now. There's also a whole industry that's spun out on AI visibility in the last couple of years. And Google is now giving us real or official data here.
Actually, yeah.
Yes.
Great. So you just to translate this, I as an online retailer, I would understand my share of voice, which is basically my visibility.
Yes.
Right. For both my organic presence and the paid presence.
That's right.
Is this so? And is this literally so? I can literally look at my organic presence as a dedicated KPI and my paid presence.
Yeah, it's very impressive the way they've built this out.
That's cool. That's really cool.
You go into Google Merchant Center. That's where this lives right now, and there are multiple dimensions to this. So this is similar. If you're familiar with Merchant Center reporting, you'll know some of these dimensions. You can look at a country and a category combination. You can then set a custom time range, whatever you like. The other thing is that you can split your visibility by free or organic listings, paid listings, or all of that together. And so there are other reports with that identical structure, and they've preserved it here, which I think is great because it's a great structure. It's very specific to be able to know, like, in a given category, in a given country, paid, that you're getting really drilled down. And then they've added in some new stuff here as well. So it will give you your share of voice, and it's going to give it across different funnel dimensions, discovery, consideration, and purchase, basically. So what they're doing, they're using, I guess, Gemini, but they're looking at the context of the chat. And while you won't get the exact data of that chat, they're letting you know this chat was upper funnel, mid funnel, or lower funnel, basically. And now you can see your share of voice, which is your visibility relative to a few peers or competitors in those different funnel stages.
Oh, all right.
So it's super powerful.
Wow. Super granular.
Yes.
Because, man, I can tell you, based on the conversations I have with the clients I'm in direct contact with, man, this was one of the big things. They knew that there's the shift to these new AI surfaces.
Yeah.
But yes, okay, great, but how am I doing there? And again, man, Google is listening here. They're doing a lot of things right here. I repeat myself. It's just, I mean, we are switching to complaint mode in a minute.
No, I still have more praise first.
No, but this is great.
Absolutely. And like, they'll give you, within each of those funnel stages, you'll get to see kind of activities that are going on. Like, for example, in the consideration, there might be price comparison or some like looking at detailed specs or whatever. So they'll let you know the kind of activity and the popularity score, which is basically, it's another metric. It's showing you like how often this kind of activity is occurring within those chats or contexts. This is AI overviews, AI mode, and Gemini app all in there. And you can even get this down. They'll talk about attributes too, like your feed attributes that are coming up, that are getting used, that are being activated in these chats. So you can find out like, was brand super important here? But there's these new conversational attributes that they've talked about. So you'll see which of the attributes were most popular, and also your completeness on that attribute. So if you see that there's a popular attribute and you have low completeness, you need to work on that attribute. And this has been one of the big challenges. It's like there's so much to do on the feed right now. How do I do it? What do I prioritize first?
And that will be key, right?
Yeah.
And so, do I get this report on which granularity level? Do I get this also on SKU level? Or
I have to dig in because I think there are some product level, and even they have it goes pretty far down. But the thing is that right now this is coming soon, so I can't go and click through it myself. I depend on their little videos that they put out.
Because, man, just the product that you have, we shouldn't talk about that probably too early, but that report, if you get it on a certain granularity level, would of course be the major guiding factor for you for your last mile feed optimization.
Exactly.
Especially for these new AI surfaces. That's a hell of a thing, man.
Exactly.
We have to talk to our CTO.
Yes.
Shout out to Christian Gorbach. No, but really, I mean, this report anyway, if you use this via tool
it's a very cool data source.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. No one knows it yet, basically, because they buried it in a breakout session.
Why, Google?
And I think there's a blog post somewhere about it too, but there's a lot of people. I hope that for a lot of you, this is your first time hearing about it, and that it do know a little more about it now.
You sold it to me, man. Where are the complaints?
I'm very impressed. The complaints would be that this is super helpful at the feed level.
Yeah.
But what remains a black box, the campaigns.
Yeah.
Because a lot of advertisers are not going to be satisfied to just know their share of voice. That doesn't tell you how big this is.
How big, yes.
What's my volume of impressions?
And what can I do about it beyond the feed?
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, because here's the paid side.
Yeah.
I can improve my feed attributes and stuff. That's great.
Yeah.
What can I do on the paid part?
Yes.
How can I optimize that?
Yes.
Because this is where you can actually apply pressure to what's going on or try to be aggressive. And so I think that they still have a lot of work to do, but I don't want to be nitpicking. This is an awesome first step.
Love it.
The more I learned about it, because when I first saw it, I was like, okay, but it's very detailed, and I think it's really actionable.
Yes, very actionable.
Yeah.
At least for the data feed.
We
both believe
for the data
is in the center of everything.
I think everyone believes that now. It definitely is. So.
By the way, this is good, right? More and more people trust and believe in us.
Yeah. There's
still some some non-believers out there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like some things we say, there are POVs that we've had for years, and now I'm like,
they're materializing.
But also I'm like, is it even a POV before anymore? Because everyone agrees now. But now we need to tell them what's coming next.
Yes, and that's what we do.
Yes.
I love the episode. Should we call it quits or?
Yeah, I think we're at time.
Yes.
So thank you, Chris.
Time of recording is a Friday today, right? So let's sail off to the weekend.
To the weekend. Wishing you a good weekend.
You too, sir.
To our listeners, whatever time of week, time of day, time of year it is.
I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Yeah.
And we will be back.
Yes.
Mike, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been another episode of Growing E-commerce. To learn more, you can visit us at smarter-ecommerce.com. And as always, please leave us a review, a shout out on social media, put a comment on YouTube. I'll try to reply timely, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye.
See ya.